I want the audience to know, or the viewer as well, to know what is therapeutic.
Therapeutic? Therapeutic is instead of sending you to jail if you have offended, or instead of sending you to community work, that time, instead of that, is you are sent to a therapeutic program. Therapy is like learning new ways. Also, within us, quite often we need therapy, because if we have come from a violent family ourselves, or intergenerationally violent families, then we take on how our parents raised us, because we say, oh, well, we're all right, you know. So we're not.
No.
But quite often, you know, we just copy what our parents did in raising our children. And you have to go back, like we were talking about the war earlier, you go back to when my parents and my grandparents came back from the First World War, the Second World War. They came back traumatised.
Yes.
We were raised in traumatised families, you know, with the mothers trying to cope, you know, with a man who had changed so differently because he'd been fighting in the trenches. You know, it affects them. Everybody tried to put a cap on it and say, oh, no, you know, Granddad's all right, you know. They weren't.
No.
So that we have carried also that within us as parents and children of these parents.
Yes.
The therapy allows us to examine our own conscience, to examine our own way of looking at things, so that we're not copying what our parents did, which in their time seemed right. I will not criticise them, because you must put them in the context of the time.
Yes.
And to criticise a parent for me would be hard. But if I put them in the context of the time, that's where the intergenerational violence comes. And by having therapy, we look at ourselves, we look at our context, we look at how better that we can behave towards people.
Indeed. Then can I use two examples?
Yes.
So people watching this can understand exactly what you're saying. Tell me and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
I wrote an article about therapeutic jurisprudence, and I use an analogy like I'm not well today, I'm sick, so I go to my doctor. What do? I need to tell my doctor I'm coughing, I'm not feeling well.
That's right.
And the doctor will look into it and prescription. So is that something similar to what you are saying, like therapeutic?
Oh, it's exactly that. If you are alcoholic, you have a disease.
Yes.
Your body is not at ease. It's at dis-ease.
Yes.
You need help. You cannot do all these things on your own in cold turkey. If you have been drinking and you have hit out, then you must address your drink. Therapeutic assistance to address your alcoholism. It's a sickness.
Yes.
With any alcoholism, it's a real sickness that grabs you.
Yes.
From there, quite often, then you have the violence. Not all the time do you have to be drunk to be violent, but also violence is a sickness.
Yes.
Because we have learned it. Children, when they're born, do not hold violence within their hearts.
No.
It's a learned thing. What makes you angry? Why are you so angry? There is a reason for this. You have got to address that through therapy.
Yes.
Through therapy.
It's also like, say for instance, a church goer go to the church expressing some issues in their hearts to the priest.
In a confessional.
That's right.
Yes.
So is that similar as well?
Very similar. Yes, because if you go to, we have Mr. O. If you go to Mr. O, those are the things that he will look to. You know, sometimes we listen to one another. If we're in a group session and we hear other people's experiences of violence or sickness, and then we can start to understand ourselves more. But if you go to a counsellor, the counsellor sits and listens. He will listen. And that's the first thing that he must do.
That's right.
Is listen to what is ailing you. What has got you to this position? It hasn't happened instantaneously. It has been a gradual thing. And this, finally, we can address what is going on in your family.
I think this is why I often say the family violence court here is different from ordinary criminal courts.
Absolutely.
And I will say it here to everyone watching this YouTube, is that if you do come to family violence courts in Auckland or in Manukau now,
yes.
You can consider the judge sitting on the bench there. He is like a doctor.
Yes.
He is there to help you.
Yes. He looks at the statement of facts.
That's right.
He reads them himself. In fact, he reads every file before he comes into court. I know this because he highlights everything.
Yes.
And he will quite often hold up a complimentary letter from one of the counsellors and say, you have engaged so well in your counselling. So we all know that he has pre-read everything. Now that's 40 odd files a day.
That's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge
but it's his passion that keeps him going. He does not have half a day off the day before, like some other courts do. He doesn't have that to prepare his files. He does this every day. And for that I take off my hat to him. But he needs to do that so that he can engage. You see, you know, to have someone hold something up like this and say, I have read what you have done, and that was not good. And it is a terrible thing that you did. But it is what you do after that counts for your family.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I have seen a lot of defendants after courts and say to me, oh, why is this judge talking to me like this way?
Yes.
People tend to think the judge is here,
yes,
right? And they are defendants. They did something wrong, and the judge will look at them in a different way.
Disparagingly.
That's right.
Yeah. Or look down to them. Yes.
But in fact, I don't believe any judges in any courts will be doing that.
No.
But I just want people to know is that in the family violence court, the jurisprudence, the principle we apply is actually to help.
Yeah.
Right? Help is really
so
the key
that it
word.
never happens again.
That's right. And if you don't want to get help, obviously no one can help you.
No.
But I noticed Judge FRASER is also very patient.
Very patient.
Very, very patient.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the difference. You know, the doctor will listen to you because the doctor needs to spend time to find out the problem, just like Judge FRASER did. Your pastor, your priest also needs to listen to you when you have a confession to make.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It takes time.
It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. But I think also the court is still kept. You still know that you're in court.
Yes.
The tikanga, the protocols of the court are still maintained. It is that, it is the conversation between you and the judge in the end that is the difference.
I almost feel like if I'm taking the defendant to a family violence court, I don't think they need a lawyer.
No, no. Quite often lawyers have got a little bit piffed, you know, a little bit upset because His Honour will engage with the defendant.
Yes.
But for me, that's the lawyer's problem.
Yes.
We are here for the families.
Yes.
We're not here to hear a lawyer, you know, with verbose, verbal exchange between them and the judge. We're here for the families, and it's the families that come first.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think if the lawyers actually understand how Judge FRASER applied the jurisprudence, therapeutic jurisprudence, will actually also help him to operate his courts.
Yes.
I think I will of course do my job. I often see clients, and the first thing I will let the Judge FRASER know, he has come to court for this reason,
Yes.
and we really want to do something.
Yes.
And I noticed Judge FRASER would go out of his way
Absolutely.
to make it happen,
Yes.
even if it takes time.
Even time is sometimes the best thing for family.
Yes.
Sometimes families need time because they have come from a time when they were not working. It wasn't working within their families. To put a family right, you cannot rush it.
No.
And it doesn't matter how long it takes. At the end of the day, the lawyers need to understand that it is for the benefit of their clients.
Yes.
If they are not guilty, hey, kei te pai,
Yes.
that's fine. You go off down a not guilty path.
Yes.
But if you are guilty of hurting someone, let's fix the family. Family comes first. We would have no more courts
That's right.
if we looked after family, because we would be raising our children in a respectful, loving way. The children would see partners in a loving manner together.
Yes.
And that, that is what family is.
Indeed.